Hi, Homeworthy. I'm James.
And I'm Tom. Welcome to our home here in Chicago.
We are thrilled to have you. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Thank you to Serena and Lily for sponsoring today's episode.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm James Dolenc. I'm one of the founders of James Thomas.
I'm Tom Riker, the other founder. This is our dog, Teddy.
Welcome to our house, everybody. We are in our apartment here in Chicago on the lake, on Lakeshore Drive.
Chicago's Gold Coast.
Yep, so welcome. So we had a huge life adjustment in 2018. We had basically built our life and our firm on the west side of Chicago for about 20 years.
We had a big open loft space in a building, and we were lived on the third floor. We had commercial space on the first floor, which was a great thing when we were starting off our firm because we could be, at the office all the time.
Absolutely. But as our firm grew and as we matured, especially as Chicagoans, we realized, wait, hold on. We live in Chicago with this amazing lakefront, and why aren't we on the lake? So we made a huge move, and we bought this place in 2018. We also moved our studio, and
doing two renovations at the same time was not a good emotional or financial move, but we got through it, and we were able to move in here in 2019.
And ended up doing a major gut renovation of this apartment. We're in a historic 1920s pre-war building, beautiful brick exterior, and we basically bought the unit for its layout. We have a Michigan home that is kind of really our home.
True home, yeah.
We come here, we work from Monday to Thursday, maybe Friday sometimes, and then hightail it over to Michigan. So this really needed to be a spot where we could rest, obviously cook a little bit, but really truly just work while we're here in Chicago.
It wasn't a place meant for really entertaining big groups or having nighttime guests, overnight guests.
Like cocktails, I think. Cocktails and then out to dinner.
Yeah,
right.
It's small, so it's sort of, we look at it as sort of our pied-à-terre in Chicago that we come back to after spending weekends and holidays and extended periods over at our house in Michigan.
So our unit is about 1,400 square feet, and we basically bought it because we love the layout. We ended up turning, one of the bedrooms, there's two bedrooms, one of the bedrooms into a dressing room, and the second bedroom, obviously we had a bedroom. But we ended up doing a full gut renovation.
This unit had very little original interest. Everything had been sort of stripped away. It was in desperate need of a major renovation. So we tried to put back a lot of historic charm into the unit by adding, crown moldings and heavy baseboards. We put in new floors. There's a herringbone floor here in the main living space. Gutted the bathrooms, new kitchen. So it was, as James said, a very extensive renovation.
Definitely. I mean, it had I think, a power 60s moment going on when we first bought it.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was pretty bad. We wanted to, as Thomas said, we wanted to maintain, or I should say, go back to the original integrity of the architecture and dial in everything. So everything you see in terms of whether it be moldings,
the fireplace,
the floors, it's all brand new, but we really tried to kind of stick true to the heritage and integrity of the original architecture. Welcome to the entry of our apartment here in Chicago. As with most entries, we like to make an impact. So given the size of this space, it was pretty easy to do. We are in love with the hand stenciled floors. We worked with Studio Linares, who is our specialty painter here in Chicago, and we did beautiful hand stenciled painted floors, and really
Everyone who
beautiful.
comments in thinks that it's actually inlay, and we're like, no, it's actually just a stencil. So it was super easy, kind of an inexpensive way to have high impact in this space.
In a small space.
Yeah.
Also, the Scalamandre grass cloth wall covering just really pulls you into the space. Every single color that's within this wall covering we've used throughout the space.
So it's kind of the bridge, as we describe
bridge.
it, of all the spaces in the apartment. So
Definitely.
as James said, every color is there.
Not to miss the foil ceilings by Studio E. Another one of our favorite wall covering manufacturers. Studio E does a beautiful job with hand-painted foil wall covering. It's just gorgeous. And one of our favorite design partners of all time, Urban Electric. We've always been in love with these ceiling fixtures. And they're really like little jewel boxes, little jewel nuggets, yeah.
And then on our search for something for this wall, we came across these antique Antiglios and thought they were really a beautiful addition, kind of very simple. The wall covering is so graphic and bold and has a lot of impact, so we wanted something quieter.
Definitely. Come on into the living room. Welcome to our living room. Come on in. We started, I think one of the key features of this room, and kind of where we started, is the gallery wall. It was important because we don't have direct views of the lake. It was important that we get a really nice reflection of the lake. So we had a handful of different various pieces of art that we didn't know where to put. So obviously we created this beautiful gallery
And there's
wall.
some funny stories about some of these pieces. The Foo Dogs, my old friend Dee Dee and I were cleaning out her mom's basement in our early 20s because I think we were between jobs and her mom was actually going to pay us to clean out her basement. And I came across these and her mom was like, I don't want those anymore, take them. And they've been with us for 25 years or more, 30 years I think I've had them. And then another little piece that I love, the story behind, is this little painting. A woman, we featured a view of this room on Instagram, and a woman did a little painting of it, and she was selling it. And I saw the post, and I said, well, I want to buy it. It's my living room. So we had it framed and added it to the gallery wall, which I think is a little fun addition, that it's a view of the same room.
Talk about the Balmain piece too. I love that photograph.
Yeah, we came across the piece of the women in the Balmain fashion
room,
show from the 50s. It's a shot from a Parisian fashion show. We just thought it was really cool, and the attitude of the woman.
Her stance is brilliant.
Yeah,
It's brilliant.
yeah.
Another one of our little favorite paintings is by unfortunately a deceased artist, André Delfaux. He's again a French artist who resided here in Chicago, was married to Ruth Page, who is a very famous dancer here in Chicago, and he did a lot of set design and textile design and sketches. And this is just a little set design or a costume design that he did for the Lyric here in Chicago. A very, very special piece to us. But the space is definitely full, I would say.
It's
in terms
compact.
Of, it's compact, but a lot of detail was added. We did the pencil molding on the ceiling. The crown is brand new and painted in a beautiful white dove Benjamin Moore paint. The fireplace, although it does look original, is from a manufacturer here in Chicago, Materials Marketing. We loved the traditional aspect of the design with a little bit of Art Deco flair. Wouldn't you say, Tom?
Yeah, for sure. And this, the black marble just had a dramatic impact, which we thought was really beautiful here.
Definitely. One of our other favorite elements is the coffee table from South Loop Lofts, which is
Here in Chicago, a great resource for vintage finds.
Yep, and the Greek key detail is one of our faves. And lastly, we've got a lot of family photos, so we kind of needed to curate them and put them in one spot. So this the side table was definitely a perfect element.
I think a little funny design thing that happened when we were having furniture made for this space is that the sofa couldn't come through the elevator. The elevator wasn't big enough, and
This
getting
piece
through
came
the
in 5
door.
pieces.
So as James said, it came in 5 pieces, and they had to actually fabricate it here on site.
So,
which we've actually had to do a
Yeah.
number of times with clients, and it's always scary when you have to tell a client, like, well, they're just going to put your sofa together, in your
sure.
living room. But this was an example of where we couldn't get a sofa
to
in.
all homeowners and designers out there, measure,
Yeah.
and especially measure your cased openings and your elevator and your
Yeah,
elevators.
the elevator door width is always a tricky
Because we've learned our lesson many times.
I think the last thing we just want to point out is the antique oriental rug. We work a ton with Oscar Asbirian here in Chicago. They allowed us to test out a number of different rugs, and in the end, this was the one that we chose, which pulls in all the colors, has definitely that antique vibe that we were, vintage vibe that we were going for. So
Absolutely.
We love the addition of the rug into the space.
I mean, obviously this is our entertaining space.
And Teddy's very comfortable here.
Teddy's very comfortable, but it's in our entertaining space, it's our TV watching space,
Right.
It's our view of Lake Michigan space, and a great place to come to at the end of every workday.
Yeah, it's very cozy.
Obviously, this room is very layered, and one of our favorite elements, in tandem with everything else, is the Philip Jeffries grass cloth wall covering. We chose this to reflect the lake that is right outside our front door, and to really bring the lake and the outside in. And to contrast it, we've got this super comfortable sofa. This is a Miles red fabric that we've been obsessed with for a very long time. And a little fun detail with throwing in the cheetah print. Who doesn't love a good cheetah print? And love to kind of point out like all the interesting welt details. This is a French flange. This is a boxed detail in terms of the tape trim, and just kind of a nice assemblage of some happy pillows.
When we were beginning the design for this space, we knew we wanted lots of color. And to be honest, red is not a color that we gravitate towards, and have actually never really used in any of our homes, or even for clients. Red is kind of a scary color, but that fabric has always been drawn to us, and we kind of started with that fabric. And I said, I really want to use this somewhere, and it is, again, sort of like the wallpaper in the entryway has it's the bridge fabric.
Yep.
And it's bold and impactful. We repeated it again in the dining room, which we will show you. But it's fun.
Yeah.
I think to be colorful, it makes us happy. To be colorful in this space, it was our goal, and so that has a lot of color in it.
Completely. There's a handful of wonderful design partners here in Chicago that we source through regularly. There's Jason Home and Garden up on Southport. This is this beautiful burlwood box that we picked up there. Right behind us, another great place is Redefined Decor on Grand Avenue. We had just come back from Greece on a work conference and saw this Grecian-inspired, I would say, part of a bust, and picked that up at Redefined Decor.
And I think, as James mentioned, we did use a number of my family pieces. This was in my grandmother's home. We had it refinished. It's a fun little bar element that stores, a ton of liquor and glassware.
This is all very important
Yeah.
in our lives.
Where
do you keep the booze?
But I think it's a little bit unexpected that it would be kind of hidden away behind this piece of furniture, but it's a great piece. It's a great piece. Another piece that we just want to note is the case good piece, which is from the 50s that we actually found on Cherish. And
love Cherish.
we love Cherish, and you can find such great, interesting pieces. It's a little bit scary ordering something that you haven't physically seen in person. But
it came out pretty well.
It came out pretty well.
Yeah, definitely.
We're pretty happy with it.
This houses all of our AV.
Yeah.
The important AV. So there's definitely, this is kind of like a yacht almost. Every inch is used for something. And though you may not see AV components, it's truly hidden.
Yeah.
Definitely. Lastly, just a few mementos that mean a lot to us. This was given to Tom and myself by one of our very best friends that I've known since my early 20s. It's from somewhere in Asia, I'm not sure quite where, but it's meant to signify friendship. So this was a really important and has been a little accessory for us. And then lastly, Who doesn't love a good door knocker? This is also from Redefined Decor here in Chicago. We just like the welcoming aspect, the fact that, you know, this is our home.
Right.
Knock, come on in, sit down, you're welcome anytime.
We came from a loft that was super minimal, very lacking of color, and I think when we did,
we embrace color.
Yeah, now
we
do
embrace
now,
color
and our
here.
firm does much more than we did maybe 10 years ago, and we really just kind of wanted to infuse this with color, mix in different furniture pieces and types and styles, and vintage and some family heirlooms, and you know, obviously some new things. So we, I mean, it's not maximalist, but it's
Definitely
definitely
not maximalist.
layered and colorful.
Well, and you had a lot of beautiful family antiques and heirlooms that
Yeah.
we really tried to dial in. I think our initial inspiration was an Upper East Side Pied-à-terre. We wanted, you know, just given the size and scale of the space, really enabled us to kind of treat each room kind of like a powder room, where
Yeah.
you know, every surface is sheathed in something special. We could really dial up, you know, the charm and layering of the moldings. So we treated each space like kind of like a little jewel
And
box.
because each space is so small, it was easy to kind of do that.
Completely.
You know, we're like, okay, the kitchen is as big as a postage stamp. Well, let's just then infuse it with color.
And I love mixing in all your family heirlooms.
Well,
you know, which
yeah.
would really add a kind of that extra layer to the space, and you know, didn't feel like everything is brand new.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a hoarder, so
A little bit?
Yeah.
Well.
So I like being surrounded by, you know, things that were in my mom's house or my grandparents' house. So
There is not an
yeah.
inch of space in
There's
this
lots
apartment.
there's lots of room for more.
Yes.
So
We've definitely filled every nook and cranny. You know, when it comes to design in general, design for this house, how we run our firm, it's definitely I think would say a collaboration, but when it came to this apartment, who wears the design pants?
I think we worked together. I might have been a little bit more involved in this is Sunny, our cat, by the way, who's now decided to join us. Maybe I was a little bit more involved in the fabric selection.
For sure.
But it was very collaborative. We knew what we both, you know, what we wanted out of this apartment and how we wanted it to feel.
Decisions actually came pretty easily.
Yeah, they did come pretty
I
easily.
think I focused more on the interior architecture,
Right.
which is ironic because Tom has the architecture background and I have the commercial interiors background. But when it comes to our firm and to this apartment in general,
Right.
you know, I focused a little bit more on the interior architecture, some of the molding profiles,
Some of those details.
Absolutely, where you
Yeah.
focus on more of the furniture and furnishings and the
Yeah.
fabrics. But what you see here is definitely a collaboration from both of us.
And our team. We had our team.
Oh my gosh, amazing team.
Two of our team members really helped spearhead and kind of organize, manage the construction aspect of this. And they worked with me on all the fabrics and all the furniture pieces. So it wasn't like I was working in a vacuum.
For sure. Well, and
I
it helped
worked
that
with
you had
them.
so many great family heirlooms too.
It did, yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
those were really easy to weave into our space
Yeah. Yep.
and to make it feel like a home. So why don't you follow us into our expansive home office? It's not a huge space, but it really does
Function
work well for us.
Yeah, it really does.
Traditionally in these units, this is a C unit, traditionally in these units, the cased opening is about right here. It's much, much further into the space. So you have a traditional living room and you have a traditional dining room. Because this is truly a pied-à-terre for us and a place where we come and work, we did need a home office.
And we didn't need a huge dining room. We didn't
Right.
want to dedicate that amount of real estate to a dining room that we knew we weren't going to use, you know, on a daily basis.
Completely. So we pushed the cased opening to a much more, I would say,
Compact.
intimate or compact dining room space. And it allowed for us to do a home office. We use this all the time when we entertain meaning like cocktails and hors d'oeuvres. We're not throwing huge dinner parties here.
No.
But this is a receiving table. It's where we have...
We put out hors d'oeuvres and cocktails,
Absolutely.
but we sit here, James especially, in the morning when I'm getting myself together. James sits here and answers emails and uses this as a desk pretty regularly. And the fun thing about this is that these bases, which we found also at Redefined Decor in Chicago, they were in our loft, a previous home, this was our dining table, so we had obviously a much bigger piece of glass, cut for it then, and it was used as our dining table. When we moved here, we got a smaller piece of glass and decided to
Use it as a desk.
repurpose it as a
Yes.
desk. These were in my grandfather's office from the 20s.
Amazing.
And they have been reupholstered and changed locations throughout the
Many
years.
times.
And it's kind of a fun addition that we sit in every day.
And much like with the AV, all of the printer functions are hid away in this custom case piece, but it really does work well for us.
Yeah.
And just some fun accessories, more books. Again, hidden behind the picture frame is the subwoofer for the AV, but is disguised by a beautiful, beautiful portrait of Tom's mother and father on their wedding day. This was a wonderful gift from a very good friend of ours here in Chicago from Thomas McCormick Gallery in the Mart. And then some just accessories that we've had throughout the ages. But
I think so. We love these vintage chairs that we found at South Loop Lofts, upholstered them in the same kind of cheetah fabric that you saw in the living room. We use these as pickup chairs either when we need additional space in the living room, or we have more than 4 people in the dining, which we've had a couple of times over
Definitely.
the years.
And the prints came from Italy on one of our trips. There was a company called Barovio and Toso who brought us over very, very graciously to Venice. And we put these up in
Vincenza,
yes.
and they're Palladio sketches of some of the buildings that he did in Vincenza.
Yep. So they work really nicely here.
Yeah, they're
we're
really
thrilled to have
pretty
them.
detailed.
One more thing we want to point out, we actually just picked up this mirror in Palm Beach. This is from Casa Gusto. And incredible, this is actually paper mache, hand-painted paper mache over a wood substrate. And we thought was perfect in this environment. Again, it reflects the lake, it reflects the home office area, and really kind of opened up the space. And just, again, little like flourish at the very top that
Kind of fun
makes us
details.
happy and fun detail. So why don't you follow us into the dining room and we'll see you there. I think one of the things that was super challenging about working in a pre-war historic building was dealing with just the plaster, the lath,
Fire brick. The construction of this building is very difficult to change things, to add, J boxes in the ceiling, to sconce locations. It was very challenging to work within the confines of the construction of the walls.
The Chicago fire, obviously, in the late 1800s really changed architecture here in Chicago and how things were built. So the walls are solid fire brick with lath and plaster over the fire brick. So as Tom, as you were saying, like anything, in terms of adding, whether it be electrical or J boxes for sconces, or even moving, an opening, really proved to be a challenge for us. So we
really difficult.
Try to work with the layout as much as possible.
Yeah, we didn't really change the footprint too much because we liked the original footprint. So we were lucky in that respect.
But this space is designed for the two of us.
Yeah.
My brother was like, "Wait, where is the bedroom for me?" I'm like,
the guest bedroom.
The bedroom is down the street.
The street at a hotel.
At a hotel. So it's really designed for us because we come here on Monday mornings and we decamp and we go to the studio and we work for the week and then we're headed back to Michigan. So it's designed for the two of us. So it's got a layout that is a little untraditional. There's not really a formal dining room. There's not really a formal closet. The closet is our dressing room and it's also a receiving room for guests.
One of the things we hear again and again from people either looking at our website or potential new clients that they're drawn to is that our projects look finished and layered. Totally. And I think that this home reflects that. And we had a lot of fun doing it. We really like finishing projects and putting on that last, the coffee table book and the candle down to make it look completely finished and lived in. And we think obviously this home reflects that to a T.
Yeah, there's with our firm, we're definitely, as Tom was saying, we're noted for spaces that feel layered and luxurious, handsome, but there's also an edited element to our interiors.
Right.
There's not going to be layer upon layer upon layer upon layer just for the layer's sake. So there was an effort here to layer, but with restraint.
Right. Being restrained is key.
For sure. So the things really stood out, and you could appreciate each and every object for what it's worth and what it stood for.
Right.
But I think that's the biggest thing in terms of our kind of design philosophy for this space. Welcome to our dining room. So we have been in love for a very long time with this interior architectural element called treillage or trellis work. We've always wanted to have it in our own home. We just never really had the space to do it.
We fell in love with it. We were at a restaurant in New Orleans.
Oh my gosh, it was forever ago.
And their entire dining room was sheathed in it, and we thought, that would be so fun to use someday.
Definitely. So one of the first things that we thought of, right, when this dining room came together, was doing this treillage treatment on the walls. And so we worked with a company actually here in Chicago to do a custom installation of it. And to us, it feels like a garden room. And that was really, I think, the inspiration behind it. It's our breakfast room, it's our garden room, it's our dining room.
Right.
And really, pulls you in. And at night, the space is amazing with candles lit. And
I think because the view is so urban, and kind of there's some
lots of high
rises and very concrete-y, that we love the idea of making this feel garden-like, which is a complete juxtaposition from what you see when you actually look out the windows.
Yes. So okay, couple of things about this space that I think actually are quite funny. This is from a client of ours. She found it, no joke, she found it in the alley. I think it's a Century piece, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a piece from Century that she was going to toss out.
She was using for a while, and I admired it, and she said, well, I don't want it anymore. Do you want it? And I said,
yeah, hello.
Absolutely, I want it.
Yes.
So we took it. We had our furniture maker sand it down, repaint it. We added this great marble top to it.
But you never know what you're going to find
in the alley.
Come on. And then to kind of mirror, I'd say, to add on to the whole garden theme, this is an artist here called, his name is Stephen Eichhorn. And this is actually a collage.
He cuts out all these flowers from magazines and then collages them together in this kind of very cool technique. We thought it was really dramatic, and with the the black background, the black piece of furniture, obviously there's some black accents throughout. We just thought it was a beautiful addition.
And in regards to the trellis, the other major inspiration, I would say, for this room is we belong to a private club here in Chicago, and this whole banquette arrangement was inspired from that club, wouldn't you say, Tom? I mean, the green, the deep green, the red accent. We wanted this space to feel cozy and intimate, and so we kind of took that whole banquette inspiration from our club and dialed it into this room.
And we obviously intentionally sort of obstructed the view. You're kind of looking over
Right.
at rooftops and buildings, so we wanted to break that up with the banquette so that you saw these beautiful pillows and the rich green. There's obviously the green bringing in the kind of garden idea.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of unexpected. People come in and like, oh, you blocked your view. Well, we did that very intentional.
Definitely.
And you'll see that the red floral peacock fabric repeated on the back of these super comfy barrel chairs that a local workroom made for us, which we love.
This is a fabric by Knoll Textiles. It is indestructible.
Yeah.
So
it's basically ultra suede, which is
you can spill anything on it, wipe anything off of it. It's fantastic. Two more things to point out really quickly. So these torchère lamps, these are also a family heirloom of Tom's. They're sterling, or they're silver plate.
Silver plate.
You actually pull it down to turn them on, and love the lion head detail, the ring. They're really chic. Yeah, again, kind of bringing in that Art Deco vibe a bit.
Yeah.
And then lastly, yes, go ahead.
We, as we mentioned before, we love working with Urban Electric, based out of Charleston. This is one of their fixtures. You can customize the finishes. Obviously, we had the interior painted this fun brick red color.
See the red tie-in?
It's the red. It's very much overscaled, which we intentionally did to really, fill up the space, and added the custom shades. We just think it's a great kind of garden element.
Absolutely.
inside our apartment.
And again, at night, it is so pretty in here with the pendant, the candles going.
Yeah.
You've got the light bouncing off the trelage on the walls. It's really a special space. Not that we spend a ton of time in here, because it's usually cocktails and we're out to dinner.
But we have had dinner parties where there have been 6 of us sitting around this table. The table actually can expand, and we pull up those little chairs from the office area, and it's super comfy for 6 people.
For sure. Welcome to our petite, is an understatement, Butler's pantry. This was just truly a pass-through space when we started construction. The cabinetry was quite a bit more shallow than what you see here. And obviously, as Tom pointed out earlier with the bar from his family, having a cocktail every now and then is part of life, right? So we wanted to create a little pass between, or a little moment between our dining room and our kitchen, and so came up with this custom bar. The wood top is marine grade finish, so really takes a beating. This is where all of our wine is stored. Very, very important thing here in the house. And then just additional storage up here with glassware, and a great spot to have your bar set up for cocktails at night.
One of the fun things, we love this company, Colleen and Company, that does really beautiful metalwork fixtures, and we loved adding that to kind of really dress up this space, and sheathe the whole space, including the ceiling, in this Philip Jeffries grass cloth basket weave pattern.
Yeah. As Tom pointed out, this kind of just, the ceiling fixture from Colleen and Company really kind of just drives home the garden vibe that we had in mind for this whole space. And it's a happy fixture.
But coming into the kitchen.
I've lived downtown since I was 18 and had a kind of a quasi-failed career in public relations, and so went back to design school, and actually initially I was in commercial interiors, and kind of laid some groundwork and definitely had some formidable training in laying out a lot of workstations. And you were in architecture.
So I have an undergrad degree in psychology. I too worked in public relations for a huge public relations firm here in Chicago after I graduated from the University of Michigan, and then I floundered for a couple of years trying to figure some things out, and decided ultimately to go back and get a master's degree in architecture. And I worked for an architecture firm for about 7 years before James and I started collaborating on small interior projects we look back on, and lobbies of buildings that my firm was doing, that a friend of mine was a developer on, and unfortunately, model units.
Right. The only kind of creative element with commercial interiors most often would be like the lobby, or maybe the CEO's office, and I kind of got tired of not being able to work with beautiful materials, great textiles, and not a lot of room for creative expression. Right. And I think the same.
And I got very tired of the technical aspects of architecture, and realized that I always had an interest in home furnishings and antiques. My mother ran an estate sale business in the Detroit area where I'm from.
Which we have a lot from.
Yeah, and so that I realized there was a kind of a passion there that I needed to explore, and it was great that I could pivot away from architecture while still using that background, which we still use, and kind of hone in on interior design and
for sure
home furnishings.
So we've had our firm since 2003, and we have an incredible team. Between Tom and myself, there's 18 of us at the firm. They are incredibly kind and talented and collaborative, and we are nothing without our team. So we're celebrating, 21 years?
21 years.
21 years in 2024. So thrilled to be here. Welcome to our kitchen.
Hello.
Come on in. So much like the dining room and much like the Butler's pantry, this is a smaller space, and but as we've mentioned before, we wanted it to feel cozy and welcoming, and kind of like a yacht. Every square inch has to be used, and we knew right from the beginning that we wanted to do a super high impact, colorful kitchen. So this is Polar Jade by Benjamin Moore, super deep, rich green paint color that really wraps you and envelops you, and is, I would say, cozy.
Yeah, and we really tried to maximize the space by hiding things away. This is a 24-inch Sub-Zero column refrigerator, 2 freezer drawers. We don't need a lot of freezer space. We did kind of a smaller scale steam oven instead of like a big, huge cooktop or big pantry. And then one of the other things we decided to utilize was the induction cooktop by Miele, just so that we don't have to contend with
counter space,
big, hardware. We can use it as counter space. You can cut on it. You can put your groceries down on it, so it goes away pretty quickly when you need it to.
Definitely. And then the all-important dishwasher. But as Tom was pointing out, every single square inch is used in this kitchen, and it's used efficiently.
Right.
We're not in it a lot. We're here for breakfast. We're here.
It's a little tight when 2 of us are in here together.
It's a little tight. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it works. I think another thing that we've done throughout this apartment is the use of mirrors, and so we sheathe the whole back wall in mirror so that it reflects the light and makes the whole space feel bigger. Definitely. So that was a big move that we love, kind of the result of it. I think it works really well in helping open up this space.
And not to forget, as we've mentioned a handful of times, our favorite partners, Urban Electric, did these great ceiling fixtures. And then Philip Jeffrey is on the wall with the grass cloth wall covering,
which was
really special.
We repeated from the Butler's pantry.
So it might be counterintuitive to paint a small space dark, but we had always had crisp romaine from Benjamin Moore in our heads when it came to selecting a paint color. And choosing a darker paint color in a smaller space actually blurs the corners. So when it is a little bit of a fallacy that that painting a small space is dark is only going to appear to be more dark. When you paint things light, you actually see every single corner and you see every single nook and cranny. By painting something dark, it actually blurs.
Kind of goes away.
Exactly, goes away and blurs your vision of defining each and every corner. So to us, the space actually feels larger than what it really is, in just the sense of painting the cabinets darker.
We also love this color, and it was, just such a fun, bold color that we wanted to see on the cabinet.
Absolutely, and that color is woven through each and every nook of this space, whether it be in our living room or whether it be in the garden room, our breakfast room. We love it. Oh my gosh, we met at a party. I know, shocking, very revolutionary, but we had a very, very good friend in common that had these horrific faux columns. Back in like the 90s, remember when
sponge painted Corinthian columns.
But Roman architecture was used as like coffee table bases and perhaps columns flanking rooms, where our very, very good friend at the time had these horrific faux columns that were sponge painted in his dining room.
I think they might even had like vines painted down the side of them.
So we did not know each other at the time, obviously, and he was having a party. And so I used to give our friend at the time a lot of crap for his faux painted columns, and so did you.
Yeah.
So he had this party, and he said, "Hey guys," he's like, "I want you to meet each other." And so we kibitzed over really bad faux painted columns, and that's how we met. And I asked Tom out, and the rest is history. I guess 26 years later, right? 26?
26 years later.
26 later. I got that right. So welcome to our dressing room / receiving room / dump zone.
Obviously it was a bedroom previously that we decided we needed more closet space. This apartment didn't have a ton of closet space, and so we decided to forego the guest bedroom, who uses a guest bedroom that much, and as we said earlier, there are lots of hotels around that guests can stay at.
Completely. This is a dream space for us. It's not, again, much like the rest of the apartment, it's not very large space, but we tricked it out in terms of custom cabinetry. One of our very, very favorite things about this room is that and this is part of working with a great artist, is that the cabinets themselves are solid oak, but then the crown and
The
doors and the trim is all hand painted to match the oak.
So it's all faux painted, again by Studio Linares, who we work with a ton here in Chicago. So we always like to point it out to people because, we're just like, we say, which is real oak, which is, faux painted, and no one can
And so
tell
many
the
people have
difference.
asked us, well, why don't you just put oak everywhere? And to us, we really wanted to highlight what it's like to work with a very talented artist and the artistry that goes into faux painting. So this was really a special thing that we worked with Studio Linares on.
It's also, there's a cost savings. I mean,
Oh my gosh,
to
there's
do
cost
all the
savings.
trim out of oak, would
Right.
have been a bit more expensive.
A bit more expensive. These are, this is my side. This is the organized side.
What are you saying?
Shoes are here, coats are over there. But it's a wonderful space to walk into every single day. We drop our wallets off here, we drop our watches off here, and we're surrounded by this beautiful custom millwork.
And it's also because the bathrooms are both off of the bedrooms, or the original bedroom. When guests come over, this is the bathroom that they're going to use, so they're going to need to walk through this space.
Right.
So we did, as James said, we treated this sort of as a receiving table, and we wanted everything hidden behind doors, so you weren't walking into our dirty, messy closet.
Absolutely.
So, there's a comfy chair that we'll do, emails at.
Or I'll have a glass of wine here
Yeah.
while Tom gets ready and asks me opinions about what he's wearing.
which does happen even after 26 years.
We love a good valet. We try to have one in each of our clients' home. A valet is like key. It's a drop zone. It's a place for, pocket squares and cufflinks, and then,
Belts
even
and-
organized belts. So who doesn't love, a belt tray?
Yeah.
But this is a great thing to have in a closet for sure.
So obviously the built-in dresser, but you can customize it to fit your needs
Definitely.
perfectly.
Tom had pointed out really quickly this receiving table, or this center table. Again, we love working with Cherish. This is a federal style table.
With a leather inlay top.
Traditionally, it would have been used as a rent table, probably. Where you would put your rent, so the drawers pull out. Your payment for rent would go in one of the rent
So
drawers.
it's termed a rent table historically.
Absolutely. This is one of our favorite little guys too. This is an owl, a brass owl that we picked up in Austin.
Austin, Texas, we were
Right.
there for a wedding, and we went into this antique store, and this was not easy to carry home on the
No,
plane.
definitely,
That was irritating.
You're not
so.
packing that in your luggage, that's
No,
for sure.
no.
And as we've mentioned a couple times, Redefined Decor, wonderful, wonderful source here in Chicago. We love this, I don't know, it's just a little object, with
looking
the
glass
stag
or-
heads.
yeah.
Really, really great piece.
You'll notice that on the floors, we decided to, instead of doing hardwood in here, we decided to do wall-to-wall sisal. We love using sisal. We love that it brings a different texture and the natural elements of sisal. So we decided to do sisal in both this room and in our bedroom. We love how it feels underfoot. It's a favorite of ours.
And I've mentioned the word, garden a couple times, and the garden aspect feels casual to us, and sisal is an indoor-outdoor, element that kind of evokes a sense of casualness, a sense of that garden element. We love the way this feels underfoot, and it's, to do something a little bit more formal would have made this space
Right.
almost too precious, and
Right.
the sisal kind of really brings it down, and just feels casual within the space.
Yeah. Okay.
Last but not least, two things. This is from a wonderful company in Milwaukee called Brass Light Gallery. It's a handmade alabaster bowl. And at night, it is so incredibly soft in here with
Yeah,
the
it just
lighting.
glows.
And then on the ceiling, this is a great company called Twigs. It's pheasant wall covering. Again, you see that green that we've woven throughout the
Yep.
entire space.
Different shades of green, but we loved how that just was unexpected on the ceiling.
It kind of feels English inspired.
Yeah.
Everybody, it is
Yeah.
an English company actually. And
Looks like the antique book binding. So we liked the feel of it on the ceiling there.
Absolutely. So why don't you follow us into what I call the Barbie powder room. Come on in. This is not only the powder room, but this is my bathroom. Yeah. It's a key to the marriage that Tom has his bathroom and I have mine. Especially when the bathrooms are this small.
That small.
So, like we've talked about a couple times, because these were small spaces, we were able to kind of go all out with finishes. So we decided to sheathe all the walls in this beautiful Carrara marble. And we did the crown in Carrara marble. We did the trim around the window in Carrara marble. And on the floors, we have this beautiful mosaic in a blend of Carrara and then Dolomite, and just really sets off the entire space. This is what I call my Barbie vanity. It is, I think it's probably about 22, 24 inches wide. So you got to be organized when you're getting ready, but it's perfect for this space. Everything behind is hidden in terms of power and all your supplies. So, at night again, this is a really romantic and moody bathroom with everything lit beautifully. But the walls, I love walking in every day. It's just a great space to get ready in. Home to me, and I think you would say the same, home to me is an attitude or a feeling or an emotion. Home is about creating a space that your friends and your family feel welcome. There's a great Scandinavian term called hygge, where it's really about creating an environment that is warm and inviting, and it's a general feeling where your family and your friends
are comfortable and welcome. And
that's home to us.
Yeah.
And home, it may sound cliche, but a home can be, a one-bedroom apartment and in the burbs, or it can be, a 5-bedroom home, in New York City. So it really depends on where you are, but it's about creating a feeling and a welcoming atmosphere for family and friends.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.